Zhang Wei Li is furious.
He's upset. 100%.
Oh, welcome in everyone to a brand new edition of Axe Cake Picks, episode 67. Today is October 27th, 2023. As always, I'm your host, D-Rock, and joining me from the golf capital of the world, Joey D. Joe, how you doing today, kid? And happy birthday. It was yesterday.
Oh, yes. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that. Appreciate all y'all who reached out. And, man, sunny weather. Was expecting it to hit the fall hard, but just been enjoying it. Been busy at school. And been busy just trying to break down these boxing cards for this weekend because it threw a curveball at us coming from MMA every weekend right into this boxing weekend. So,
yeah, got a loaded show for you guys. And yeah, over here on the East Coast, it's been hot too. I saw a funny picture. It says winter at 6 a.m., spring starts at 10 a.m., summer's at 2 p.m., and falls around 4:30. So dress accordingly. But yeah, no, it's been a good fall weather out here, a couple days away from Halloween. And yeah, we got a off week here in the UFC, but big fight in Saudi Arabia. Francis Ngannou taking on the biggest challenge of his career, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. So we'll have predictions and previews there as well. Amanda Serrano is fighting as well. And we got some MMA news towards the end of the show. But Joe, there is nothing like a post pay-per-view fight, interview, podcast, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the display of Islam Makhachev. We will start in the main event. I want to say I don't know if it would be different if Volkanovski had a full camp. A lot of people want to believe it probably will be. You saw the kind of headspace after the fight Volkanovski was in, saying he was in a dark space, which is kind of hard to understand because he was just fighting about 3-4 months ago. So I don't know all the inactivity he's talking about, but I guess just a cage, it provides a home for some guys. But as for the fight, head kick, knockout, I've never seen Volkanovski look like that. And Islam, I mean, are we sleeping on his striking ability? I mean, this guy is just, I wouldn't argue. We'll talk about pound for pound, but Joe, he has to be number one now.
I saw it at the beginning. Like the first time they fought, I really thought that he should take the number one spot. I know it was a controversial decision, but he beat the number one pound for pound guy at the time. And I was really saying to myself that he should have already been number one. But I know we have this whole John Jones situation, and it's probably best to keep him on there so that they can, market the fight now that it's got pushed back. So I understand the whole decision making there. But man, yes, he's made significant improvements in his striking. I think he's worked on a lot of the tools that got him to the point Islam did, and also saw a lot of tendencies that Volk was using. And I think though he was training for Charles, I do think that he was ready for a Volk last minute step in, which is exactly what happened. So I think really Islam was ready for anything. And man, that head kick, you saw it in the back. If you saw any footage from 294, you saw him practicing the body kicks, and then raising it up high. And Volkanovski, unfortunately, is a smaller dude, more stockier guy. And you could see, the first fight, he was able to stuff some takedowns. He was able to use some grappling in the zone. I think it's hard when you get those stout, short, fire hydrant type. I mean, the dude was a heavyweight when he played rugby. So, he's built like a shit brick house, to be completely honest. So I think the advantage that Islam had was in the striking, as crazy as that sounds, and he exploited it. And it was maybe the one tendency where, we all kind of do it. If you have done stand-up, whether kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, there's some sort of reset with your footwork that you conduct. And I'd like to give a shout out to my coach for mentioning it. He broke it down where, Volkanovski wasn't expecting Islam to re-engage as they were both resetting. He immediately saw the reset from Volk, Islam did, and threw that head kick and nailed it, and followed it with some vicious ground pound, some of the worst that I've seen. But man, credit to him. I still respect Volk, of course. How could you not, for stepping in on late notice? I mean, everyone on the social media ends, they're all like, hey, John Jones is out. Might as well have Volk step in and fight Stipe. But, I digress. I actually think it was a good event, and I did predict that first round KO TKO. It was just a lot coming. I'm sorry I'm rambling on, but it's just a lot coming in. The cover curse is real. All fighters that were on the curse have been affected of all losses since they've been on the cover for UFC 5. And I didn't like the incoming recovery from the surgery. That elbow, it's tricky. And I saw some pictures, funny, he still had swelling, still had inflammation. So that's another thing. I was on the same side too, where he was trying to block. So maybe, you do have some sort of memory, muscle memory where you're throwing, you got big gloves, maybe throw your block a little too short, nose closer to the chin, not covering up the temple. Or he may not even been able to get the block up there all too properly as if he was completely fit. So I think there's a lot of factors into it, but credit for the man for stepping in, and Bernie and also Kamaru stepping in. These guys saved the card here, so respect to them.
Yeah, 100%. You got to give it up to Volkanovski stepping up on 10 days notice, dropping about 28 to 30 pounds in a little over a week. I thought he started out very hesitant again, and that was the worry. And shout out Demetrius Johnson. He broke it down on his YouTube page. You even saw it in the first time Volkanovski and Islam fought. The body kicks are always going to be open against smaller fighters. When you're the bigger fighter, those body kicks are always going to be open. Demetrius Johnson never really fought it, never really had to face that because no one was really smaller than he was in the octagon. But he mentioned it during or after the first fight that they were going to be open, and that was the key to putting Volkanovski away. And what does he do in the very first round? They probably saw the same thing that Mighty Mouse did, which is why they were practicing it so long. So he executed it perfectly. He handled the victory in grace as well. Both respect each other. I think that was his last chance at 55. I don't think he's ever going to get a shot there unless they change belts or there's a new champion, but I doubt it. I think a lot of people not discredit, but they overlook Islam because he's the protege of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, if he has one more title fight, he'll have as many title fights as Khabib. Do you expect people to kind of, after this fight, be like, okay, this guy is the real deal now? He's not under the shadow of Khabib.
No, he absolutely is the real deal. You have to respect Islam Makhachev, international master of sport in Sambo. I mean, the record speaks for us. I know he dropped that fight with Adriel Martinez a year ago. We always joke that it was Alexander Pantoja, but at the end of the day, he was young in his career. And through that loss, he's learned a lot. I do believe you learn a lot more with losses than you do wins. The man's absolutely legit. I agree with you. I think he should be number one pound for pound. I think the same applies for how I rank the boxing, because I had Tyson Fury at number one pound for pound, but this is going to be his first fight in about 2 years, possibly, if I'm wrong. I had to remove him from the number one ranking and put T-Bud because he had an amazing performance against a ranked opponent. So how would I not put Islam at number one in my pound for pound rankings? I would be hypocritical for doing so.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree. He should be the number one pound for pound. He's the best lightweight in the world. Now, spinning it forward, everyone's chomping at the bit. Obviously, he's the champ. You got Justin Gaethje on Twitter saying, "I'm next." You had Charlie Olives. He had that cut. He said he'll be ready to go in early 2024. It gets tricky with Makhachev because, you got Ramadan coming up. They're going to be fasting. Who do you want to see him verse next? Because personally, I don't know how they don't rebook Charles Oliveira. I think they need to close that chapter out. I don't understand how Justin Gaethje automatically jumps him just because he got cut up.
Absolutely. So, yes, sir. I agree. I don't think Justin should get the next shot. Justin Gaethje, I know this might sound a little crazy because he did ice Dustin Poirier. I don't really see anything else making sense to me. I think that they should run it back for a third time and complete the trilogy for the BMF belt. And I think that should take place after UFC 300. I think at UFC 300, we get the return of John Jones. He'll fight Stipe. And I think that's where you see Islam in a co-main event slot. I know that's crazy to say, but it's International Fight Week for UFC 300. I think you put John Jones in the headliner for his return. And Islam, I think he's going to play by his set of rules. He's going to want to wait for that event. And regardless of him being in a co-main event slot, man, imagine that international fight, how many eyes are going to be in for him to fight Charles Oliveira with John Jones as the headliner against Stipe. I mean, that's going to be one of the highest selling pay-per-views of all time right there. So that's just my bold prediction as to what the UFC should do with matchmaking and how these cards shape out in the coming future.
Yeah, we'll see when they do put on UFC 300. I'm thinking around maybe April
April.
or
Yes, I have
yeah.
April. I have it all laid out in my predictions of what I see. But if you want me to just say it, yeah, I have 4 title fights for UFC 300. John Jones versus Stipe in the main event. Co-main is Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. Uh, the co-main event is Sean Strickland against Khamzat Chimaev. And then the 4th shot is the return of Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko for their trilogy.
Very interesting to see. That'd be crazy putting up 4 fights.
You got to
4
put
title
UFC
fights.
299 Conor McGregor headline against Michael Chandler, because that's how you get them involved in the lightweight title picture. And then that's why I said for UFC 301, you throw the BMF belt. Now you got all these lightweights in the same time frame, and we can see where it goes.
Now, on the other side, Alexander Volkanovski, he revealed, like I said in his post-fight conference, that he was struggling mentally with the inactivity, was getting to a dark place. Hence, I guess why he did take this short notice fight. Spinning it forward for him, it looks like Ilia Topuria is the guy that's going to get the next shot. But do you think he pulls an Izzy where he kind of sits, or the UFC says, hey, you just got brutally knocked out. You're still kind of dealing with the surgery you just got done. Take time. Or do you think they move it fast and right there in Toronto?
Man, it's crazy. I know it might sound crazy, but I'm seeing for January's card, UFC 297, it's going to be taking place in Toronto. I got an interim featherweight championship between Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria. I don't think you put Alexander Volkanovski back in there. I think you need to put a title on either one of these guys. If Max proves it, there's nothing else for Max to prove. He needs to fight again. I know as crazy as it sounds, but the featherweight division's practically cleared out if Topuria doesn't beat Max Holloway. I think you need to put a belt on Ilia Topuria if he's that next guy too. I know he's got some stardom and his part, but man, for him to grow, I think the American fan base, he needs to get that belt, and beating a Max Holloway would do so. Gives time for Alex to rest and builds up their featherweight clash in the future. So yes, my prediction is that Holloway will actually step in and fight for the interim belt against Ilia Topuria for UFC 297 come January in Toronto.
I guess the problem I have with interim belts, and we'll discuss it later with the John Jones news, is just because interim belts really don't mean anything. They're just a number one contender match, I feel like. And if you do that, what if Max Holloway winds up beating Ilia Topuria? And then you're going to run that back for a fourth time?
Yeah, because I would think Max Holloway actually goes and beats Alexander Volkanovski the 4th time. I know it sounds crazy. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I just don't think that's what the UFC wants to do a 4th time. And then you're going to be killing off a really good guy in Ilia Topuria. What I've actually read was they've actually been going at it on Twitter, Max Holloway, and you mentioned Justin Gaethje. Why don't they run it for the BMF belt? I think that's actually a good fight because, like you said, Max Holloway's cleared the featherweight division out. Move up to 155 until someone's ready for a fight like Alexander, if you wind up getting that 4th shot, or you just take out Justin Gaethje, the number 2 lightweight in the division, because it doesn't seem like he's going to get the title fight against Islam. So I actually like that a little better.
Yeah, I like that. I think the only argument, MMA math is not exact, but Max Holloway did get pieced up by Dustin Poirier. And we just saw what happened with Justin beating Dustin. So I think you could get worrisome into that, but that does make a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, so we'll see. There's a lot to do, but yeah,
so many moves they can make. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
many moves. Give credit to Islam Makhachev. He is the best fighter in the UFC, pound for pound. Now with the co-main event, Khamzat Chimaev, he gets the majority decision over Kamaru Usman. I mean, so after the fight, Chimaev told our boy Brett Okamoto that he broke his right hand in the 1st round, which makes sense because you see him take the 2nd round off, and Kamaru, I thought he won the 2nd round, very decisive. I thought it was 1-1 going into the 3rd. You could rule the 1st round at 10-8. He had maybe not damage, but he had duration. He definitely had one of the Ds. So I definitely give the 10-8 to Chimaev in the 1st round, then 10-9 to Kamaru. And then the first 2.5 minutes until that late takedown, I thought Kamaru Usman was winning the fight. It could have easily been a draw, and one judge did have it a draw. So I tweeted this out the next day. I rewatched the fight. We all thought he was going to, me included, we all thought Chimaev was going to come in there and just honestly break Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
We didn't think this was going to be a good spot. But later, as the fight went down, or later on in the rounds, we saw the gas tank kind of go for Chimaev, and I don't think he's necessarily next in line for Sean Strickland. One, I don't think is right because one, he's debuting at number 9, and I know rankings really don't mean anything. Anyone could get a title fight, but go and fight Paulo Costa. Go fight an actual middleweight instead of you're fighting a welterweight. You know, he is a champion, and I get that's going to hold high in his resume, but he didn't look the best. I don't think he's ready for a championship fight. And to be honest, I think there's more questions that need to be answered with Chimaev than answers. I thought Kamaru actually saved the card, let alone Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, you saw Dana White enter the cage as soon as he goes in, and he looked at Kamaru and said, fucking thank you, because you just saved this card. The last 20 seconds where they were just swinging at each other, it could have went either way. So you got to give credit to Kamaru Usman. I know he probably, hindsight's always 2020. He wished he probably would have let it go a little more, let his hands go, but you got to give him nothing but credit, stepping up and against a fucking killer in Khamzat Chimaev. What'd you think of the co-main event?
Absolutely. You got to give all the respect in the world to Kamaru Usman. He is a champion, future Hall of Famer, an absolute legend. And yeah, he saved the card. I know we respect Alex Volkanovski for being the headliner, but what's with these co-main events kind of stealing the show, you know?
I actually like it.
Yeah, if this fight went 5 rounds, Kamaru Usman's winning that fight. I'll be real with you.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. That the tides were turning, and I think that one judge was correct. I do think you could have scored it a draw. But I think that Kamaru Usman could arguably have won that if you, depending on how you scored that first round. You know, if you give it a 10-9 and you give the next 2 to Kamaru, he actually wins that split. So I saw his reaction to that when it came out to be a majority decision. He was like, I didn't even win a card. So I understand his frustration there. And yes, we do have a lot of unanswered questions by Khamzat Chimaev, but I don't think we can deny the technical prowess of Usman. You know, everyone has talked about his knees, but he has some of the best takedown defense. And, you know, he's lost his place in the all-time, you know, takedown defense percentage. But he was still stuffing and make it rough on Chimaev. He was shooting like Makhachev was earlier in the card when these guys were just shooting at ankles. So they were being denied their takedowns. They had to find those, you know, slippery ways. We know in the wrestling, when you shoot for a takedown, you get stuffed. You kind of got to like scoot to the side, but you're like on your hands and knees, you know, you're just like kind of crawling out. And then, you know, in wrestling, you can't throw punches. You got dudes throwing punches at your head there. So, you know, he got the job done controversially enough. And what's next for Khamzat Chimaev, man? I know you said that maybe he needs to fight a middleweight, but I mean, Dana said it, man. And I think Dana has been trying to stick to his word. I think most of his word throughout his career has been bond. And when he says something, he normally does it. So I know it may be frustrating to us as, you know, hardcore MMA fans or those who are respecting the rankings or just seeing that he's not deserving. I think he could sell. I really do. And I think that's going to be a huge factor. He's a star. Sean Strickland is a huge star. You know, I think if you put that fight anywhere on the planet, it would sell. And you could put it anywhere on the card. I mean, you could possibly headline a card with them, but I think they're going to be in a co-main event slot or, you know, as I said in UFC 300, a co-main event. Could you imagine those names I mentioned for UFC 300? I think, you know, I got a little excited with that, but man, could you imagine?
It'd be fucking insane. You got to feel for a guy like Dricus Du Plessis, though, or even like Bobby Knuckles, or, you know, like I said, Paul Costa's going to be ready in a few months. I get it. I'm not denying it's going to sell. He's box office, Chimaev. Everyone wants to see him. The guy's probably one of the biggest prospects, at least I've ever seen. I don't know about you, but at least I've ever seen.
You know, the Dreykus situation, he kind of shafted the UFC as Chimaev has played ball. And I know he came out with that once again, a controversial statement saying that the UFC kind of made him miss weight with the Nate Diaz, fight. And he had him wind up fighting Li Jingliang. But I don't know about that either. It's just that he's been playing more ball with the UFC, so I think that they're willing to, bend the rules in his favor.
Yeah, and to be honest, like you said, Dana White is a man of his word, and he said, "Hey, when we give you an opportunity, you better take it." And DDP did not take it, and Sean Strickland did.
He very well would be I'm sorry, he might be stuck with waiting for like Izzy's return. I hate to say it, but that's a matchup that was building up, and that might, but we have
100%, and that kind of evaporated for him. So yeah, he might just be waiting in the loom. I guess I just don't think Sean Strickland's a good matchup for Khamzat Chimaev at all. Like, he is going to pressure him. He has the best cardio besides Merab Dvalishvili.
Absolute weapon.
He probably has the best cardio in the UFC, and he's just going to smother him. Like, you thought, and Kamaru Usman has an amazing jab, and it was connecting a lot in this fight. What do you think Sean Strickland's going to do?
Educated
he's going to
jab.
Philly shell, and he's going to come at you. He's going to cut off the distance, and and he has great takedown defense. Let's not forget.
I think that Philly shell helps with the takedown defense. He's a wrestler first. He came up wrestling, and you can never deny those wrestlers because, man, I watched a recent JRE episode with Dan Hendo, man, American athlete. He started as a wrestler, and he's one of the best knockout artists, one of the best stand-up feared strikers in the world. So I think the same could be said for Sean Strickland.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see moving forward. Do you want to see Kamaru Usman still at middleweight, or do you want to see him going back to welterweight? Because
it might
I think
be
there's some
better.
interesting fights at middleweight.
Yeah, they're definitely. I don't know necessarily how difficult. I don't think he ever has missed weight at 170. He's been an absolute professional. But as you get older in age, it does get harder to cut that weight. It might be better for him, in terms of brain health, for him to not cut and stay at 185 now. He might have more power behind his shots. It might last. He might have a career that lasts a little longer if he decides to move up in a weight class. So I say go for it. I think there actually is more to do.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate he dropped the 2 to Leon. So that could be the guy who really has his number. And if Leon's gonna, be there, he might not be able to make a case for himself back at 170. So it might be a new home for him, 185.
It's so crazy. About a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago, the guy was undefeated. Now he's lost 3 in a row. To me,
happens,
I don't.
man.
Yeah, it happens. Same thing with Volkanovski. He's 2-3 in his last 5. I think. Oh man, I really hope he beats Patty. What was I gonna say? I think moving forward, I don't think there's a run at a title at either weight class. Maybe if he won, he may have a shot, but
Maybe.
I just want to see Kamaru Usman just take fun fights, go off into the sunset, get another big payday one last time. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're probably one of the best welterweights to ever fight. Just take some fun fights. Like, there's like a Robert Whittaker fight. Jared Cannonier, I know he tore his MCL, but there's very fun fights, I think, in the middleweight division. Am I wrong on that?
No, there's absolutely tons. It's a deep division. Thanks to Izzy, it has kind of been cleaned out. And now that Sean Strickland is a champion, that also factors into why Khamzat could be getting pushed to a title
100%.
shot. And, you could throw Kamaru against Paulo Costa. You could throw him against, you name it, the who's who of the middleweight division. It's a good matchup. And he's also stylistically a bad matchup for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, 100%. So we will see what happens there. But credit Khamzat Chimaev. He does edge out the victory over Kamaru Usman.
One of the few people.
Still undefeated. Let's talk about this third fight. Man, these two guys are fucking cursed. What mayhem we had here. First, before we start talking about
the
fight,
fight, where are you right now?
The Northeast. Am I wrong? No, Joe. Let me ask you another question. What weighs more? 700 pounds of feather, 700 pounds of rocks. Like, let's just start asking these motherfuckers. Let's just start asking these. First of all, this doctor got it wrong in the earlier fight. First of all, he said, no, I didn't get hit in the knee or in the balls.
It was my dick.
Either that or this guy deserves a Grammy or an Oscar, because this guy, they had to carry him out of the octagon. Like, wow. This doctor, even Dana White, credit to him. He came out after the card and was like, this guy did not know what the fuck he was doing. Hopefully he will never be there. First of all, if you guys don't know, it was a no contest between Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, I don't even think he answered it wrong. Like, no. He said the desert. Abu Dhabi is the desert, if you really want to be technical.
Yeah,
I mean,
said that I didn't want to mispronounce it. It's Abu Dhabi to some and Abu Dhabi to others. And I mean,
And there's a language barrier. Why the hell isn't there a translator? This guy speaks Portuguese and he speaks whatever his language is.
Yeah, they're
Why don't we
both
get a translator?
English as a second language, and they're both trying
Yeah.
to communicate in English. I think the lines of communication were mistaken.
And he just got hit with an illegal knee. I think if they were to ask you and me, I think we would have said Abu Dhabi or the fucking desert.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's so stupid.
But what's the formality about like not restarting them? I know they've argued it. Joe Rogan was arguing it, and they were like, Dana White had to step in. It's like, why couldn't he, as the president?
Oh, it was getting bad though. They were pushing refs, doctors.
Yeah. Tell the commission though, they could have got it and been like, just restart the fight. But I guess there's a formality into it now.
Yeah.
Where, this is the professional sport. If something like that happens, there's a rule set and there's a commission body that's going to head and make decisions over. That's why I think they're all like checks and balances, basically. The president, if he had all the power, he'd just have a fighter fight 3 times in one night if he wanted, so there's got to be checks and balances in it. And I think they'll come, if this was ruled in favor of one of these guys, if it Johnny Walker wound up winning, or if they said it was a TKO finish for Ankalaev, I think down the line, you would have had the commission come out and say, actually, it's a no contest. So, you know what I mean? That's what I mean about the checks and balances. I don't think that any one party has all the power.
Question, do you think they should have ruled a disqualification and ruled in favor of Johnny Walker?
Yes, I think that was a valid argument because, they said it was an unintentional knee, but he intended to, hurt him. At the end of the day, you have intentions in a fight. And, mistakes happen. Yeah. They'll have to run it back. Like we said, he wasn't wrong with what he answered, Johnny Walker. And then also you got to think on the other end, these are valid questions to think that, maybe Johnny Walker was good, but just thought that he would get the win. And I don't think that's fair. But like I said, these are questions that not only Magomed Ankalaev was asking, we've had plenty of other fighters and analysts ask that same question. So I think it's a valid question, as though it may not be fair to someone who is in a position where they just got illegally stricken.
As much as I love Magomed Ankalaev, I do think they should have given it a DQ disqualification. It was an illegal knee. He knew what he was doing. He lost position and he threw the knee. I mean, you have over 20 professional fights. You know what an illegal knee is. I think everyone on the roster does.
How do we not see this coming? 2 of the most unlucky fighters on the roster. We should have said
I wish there was a fucking prop. End in a no contest. Like next time it has to be it. Dana White came in after he cooled everyone down. He said, we'll take care of it in the back. They're definitely going to run it back. They have unfinished. They're still going at it on Instagram. If you guys follow Magomed and Johnny Walker, it's just a sticky situation. I thought the fight, you really couldn't really get a gauge of how the fight was going. It would it go 3 minutes into the fight and it was over. So very unfortunate, but I think they kind of screwed Johnny Walker into it because I could argue the winner of this gets a title shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an absolutely valid that's a valid argument. And
why didn't they give him 5 minutes? Because when you get hit in the balls, you get 5 minutes
time to recover. Regardless, eye poke, it doesn't matter. You get the time to recover. They didn't give him any time.
The pull on the trigger, no pun intended, was very quick, I thought. Very quick. And I just didn't understand what was the rush.
Well,
hey, why don't I let you reset? Hey, what day is it? Like, let me give you another minute or two. Let me ask you a better question. Let me get a translator in and then just automatically say no. And why didn't the referee come in and say, let's give him the 5 minutes? Like, let's just call it off. Like, let's give him the 5 minutes.
I don't think he's too astute of a ref either. That's the situation. But I think what we learned from that is that we need a no contest for the gambling aspect, and we need a draw for the verdict aspect, so we can all get our points there.
They're definitely gonna have to run it back. Johnny Walker, Magomed Ankalaev, hopefully very soon, so we could fucking continue this division. This light heavyweight division's just been fucking cursed, Joe. Ever since John Jones left, it's just been cursed. So hopefully it gets squared away at Madison Square Garden in a few weeks here. But Ikram, this man is a beast. You could understand why they put him up against Paulo Costa or originally scheduled to fight him. I mean, his one loss is to Khamzat Chimaev. He knocks out Walderley Alves 2 minutes into the first round. man, what a fucking beast. He gets performance of the night as well. This guy, he's going to be a problem at middleweight, kid.
Absolutely. Yeah. We saw it coming. I feared for Walter Alves. I love the guy, but he showed his chin recently as he's gotten older. He used to be a killer, and he still is, but you know what I mean? It's just the higher echelon has gotten to him. He had this streak where he was like a Glover Teixeira of his weight class of 185, and now he's got chinned a couple times, and I honestly fear for Warley Alves trying to continue to fight. I think he'd probably be a better coach, and I think he should kind of think about retirement. I really hate to say that. I'm not the one to make decisions for fighters, but I just would hate to see a guy who I'm a fan of, go down that path. So all the respect in the world to Warley Alves, but man, I just don't want to see him go. I want to see the man win. Ingram was a dangerous opponent, and man, getting him out of there the way he did, that knee, man, that you're gonna be hard to recover from. But Ikram is legit. And like you said, he only lost to Khamzat, and which could have been, people argue that's a fluke loss too, the way he
100%.
got caught. So Ikram could be, legitimate, and that could be a fight that we see in the future, maybe them running it back. So all the credit to both fighters in the second fight of the main card. Performances from the first two, good performances.
Yeah, I mean, right, real quick on the fight, we're not in the business of retiring fighters, but we've seen it time and time again where, fighters stay longer than they're supposed to, and it just ends bad. So we just want the best for Waldy Alvarez because he is a good fighter, but maybe coaching some fighters are better coaches than they are actual fighters. So
I'd follow him. I believe if you listen to what he has to say, I've heard embedded. I remember listening to videos, watching his jiu-jitsu films. He's got a lot to offer, and I know there's a lot of new upcoming guys, man. We need coaches, giving that knowledge, spreading that information, and passing it on to the next generation.
Yeah, 100%. And then the first fight in the main card, Saeed Nurmagomedov, submission win, minute 13 seconds in. The main card started flying by. I loved it, and
a lot of decisions. And then, and then
this guy, Saeed Nurmagomedov, in the bantamweight division, Joe. I mean, he's ranked 15th in the world. He wasn't ranked before.
Legit.
A lot of interesting fights in the bantamweight division for him. What'd you think of the submission win?
Yeah, man, absolutely legit. And I guess the only thing I got to say is I know it was a controversial decision, but just how good is Jonathan Martinez? Because after a performance like that, I think that goes to show that dude's legit as well. He was able to hang with Saeed Nurmagomedov, deny takedowns, land those leg kicks. Saeed to go out there and finish. I know Gafurov, he lost his last time out to, I think it was it Castaneda, if I'm correct. Anyway, he's a tough opponent, but he did get finished last time. But the way that he just got finished, man, I think Saeed's one of the few people to do that, to people, to get that standing guillotine in and just put them to sleep, man. We haven't seen it often. It kind of give me remnants of Johnny Bones doing it to Lyoto Machida back in the day. So
yeah, and then the featured prelim, Muhammad Makhachev, he gets the submission win. 3 minutes left in the third round against my boy Timmy Elliott.
I don't think Tim Elliott cared. He won.
I mean, if you look at the scorecards, all three judges had it in favor of Tim Elliott. They gave David Letherby, I'm looking at the scorecards right now, it had 20-18 going into the third round, and so did Darrell Ransom. Derek Clearly had it 19-19 going into the third round, and I thought he was winning the third round as well. So for everyone saying how good Muhammad Makhachev is, and I do think he is good, he was just a few minutes away from losing. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on this win. That's just my opinion, Joe.
Yeah, and I agree. I think you got to be worrisome about him. He needs to improve his striking dearly. I think
striking is the main problem. That was
the
my
main issue. Yes, that's the main issue that he has, because his grappling is fantastic and he could carry that to a championship. He could at flyweight. You absolutely could. With the stylistic, the size of these guys, he could win a title with just grappling. But I think as he's going to find problems as he gets into those higher level opponents. But the reason why I said Tim Elliott won is because the guy he sponsored, Antonio Soto III in bare knuckle boxing, absolutely destroyed Kevin Kroom, who was the one who cheated on his wife with. So That's why I said Tim Elliott won the weekend, because he sponsored the guy that beat up the Kevin Kroon for him.
That's actually kind of crazy.
He didn't care if he lost. He was like, I already won.
I already won. Trevor Peek, he gets a unanimous decision.
Love me some Trevor Peek, bro.
Very, very close fight. I thought Muhammad Yahya actually fought better than I anticipated, to be honest. But Trevor Peek sneaks out a unanimous decision win. Obviously, you had him. Yeah, it sure did. And then you had the no contest between Victor Henry and Javid Basharat.
That was rough, man. That was a rough shot. It did hit him. And Javid
it definitely did. The guy's not fucking lying.
He's got a no contest on his record, but just along with Khamzat and Muhammad Makhachev, Javid is still undefeated. So we got a couple undefeated guys coming out of this still.
Shout out Mike Breeden too. 0-3 in the UFC, basically fighting for his UFC contract.
I heard low key, if he didn't sign it yet, I heard they offer him a new contract because of that.
Yeah, I did not see that. I hope he did. I'm rooting for the guy. He's an electrician. He has his normal job, 9 to 5, and then he comes and trains. So hopefully he gets to the point where he could just quit that job.
When he started barking like a dog, I knew it was trouble.
Well, he needed to, and I hope he carries that into his next fight, because he was down 0-2, and then when he started barking, he gets the knockout.
That's right. And speaking of dogs, man, my only dog of the card hit Muhammad Ngannou, and I know it was controversial. Nathaniel Wood very well could have won that, but hey, the dogs did bark.
5 technical fouls in that fight. He hit him in the balls twice. He grabbed the fence twice.
I don't know what
you had to, because at a certain point, Joe, you have to.
Johnny Walker fight? It must have been.
Joe, at a certain point, we need to start these fighters on an even playing field. It's not even anymore. And I'm happy that Nathaniel Wood made an appeal, and I know appeals only go so far, and it's probably not looking good, but at a certain point, he grabbed the fence twice, he hit him in the balls twice, and how many you gave him 3 warnings.
Insane,
how many more warnings are you going to give? And then at the end, when Natty Wood was down and had back control, he's grabbing the inside of his glove. I mean, this guy's a joke.
Yeah,
I'm glad you won your bet, but man, that guy did not deserve to win.
That's exactly right. And I'm not gonna be like blind to the fact that he absolutely didn't deserve to win that fight. He deserved to have points taken throughout the rounds, and the ref failed to do so. So the judges are left to make a decision on what they see in the fight, and without the points being taken off, I think it was fair game. Unfortunately,
100%. If anything, it had been a draw.
And I'm glad you said to the point of making it an even playing field, because though I'm in favor of 12 to 6 elbows, maybe soccer kicks and stomps and stuff like that, it doesn't level the playing field, and that's why we have the rule set we do.
As long as it's not a Seth Rollins stomp, I mean, I'm good with all the stomps. Overall, though, I thought it was a really good card. Even the debut of Sahira Magomed,
Sarah Bullet, and even Victoria Dudikova, they're still undefeated as well. So a lot of undefeated fighters coming out of this card.
Yeah, overall in UFC 294, I was 2-3-1. I lost on Timmy Elliott. Saeed Nurmagomedov wins with Ikram. Those are my 2 wins. I get the no contest.
Tim Elliott a win, brother. It's a dub.
Hey, if he would have won, I would have been good. I mean, I got the no contest again with Magomed Ankalaev, and then I lose in the co-main and the main event. But overall, how did you do?
I went 1-1 for props. I had the round 1 win for Islam hit at +600. I went 1-1 in parlays. Ansel Jubilee, the Mike Breeden, he ruined it. For the 10-legger, but my 2-leg USA parlay, Trevor Peek and Cedricus Dumas, both hit +185 on that parlay. And my overall record straight up, including the no contest, I went 11-2 and 2 no contests. So I had a really good weekend for UFC 294.
Let's fucking go. Attaboy. Yeah, we had bounced back after kind of an average card last week. We bounced back and have a pretty profitable week. Before we get to Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. It's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva was the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing around the golf with the boys, or an elderberry on a Saturday afternoon watching Francis Ngannou shock the world, it doesn't matter. Our flavors pair perfectly with our Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle but refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, Joe. Got a lot of famous people. Conor McGregor will be there. Israel Adesanya, he's making his trip to go see his boy in Saudi Arabia. Weigh-ins, Tyson Fury weighed in at 277. Francis weighed in at 272. So around the same, about a 5-pound difference. I will let you take it away. By the way, before we get to the main event, overall, is the card good? It's got a lot of.
It's all right. There's not really any championship fights on that card, but there are other champions fights taking place this weekend. So, I think the card's all right for what they're trying to do here. It's kind of like an exhibition. So I didn't expect them really to pack the card, load the card up. I really think they were letting the main event ride.
Take us away. What do you got in the main event?
Yeah, brother. I mean, to be honest with you, I got some odds to start us up, and I got some history. And then I'll go into breaking down the fight because right now, the odds that I'm seeing are Tyson Fury is a minus 1,200 favorite and Francis Ngannou is a plus 650 underdog. And you would think that this is the biggest upset or would be the biggest disparity in boxing history, but it's not. According to the odds, it turns out that Buster Douglas was a 42-1 dog when he defeated Mike Tyson. So, though it is not technically on the books the biggest upset in boxing history, if Tyson Fury gets knocked out, and what that means for boxing, it will be the biggest upset in history. Point blank, period. I think everyone can agree with that, regardless of the side that you're on here. I really leading up to this, I really thought that Francis Ngannou was our hope, and I still hope and pray that there's a chance here, man. I really do. But I think his best chance of winning is literally within 2 to 3 rounds. I really don't think he needs to try to box in there. I really think he needs to go in there and just try to take Tyson Fury's head off. If he tries to technically box and showcase any sort of boxing, Tyson Fury is going to pick him apart for 12 rounds and possibly alter the trajectory of Francis Ngannou's career, because we think that he's going to come back to MMA after this, or he's going to continue boxing or something. I mean, if he goes the distance with Tyson Fury, I heard it before and people saying it, Tyson Fury will change Francis Ngannou's life. I think his best chance for victory is coming out with Fury to try to get Tyson Fury out of there. He needs to throw slobber knockers. He needs to throw haymakers, everything, mollywops that he could possibly do to get Tyson Fury out of there, because after 2 to 3 rounds, it's bad news. I really think he maybe needs to kind of take a TKO loss to just avoid serious damage. Just like the Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight that Francis Ngannou had, that he needs to take that same approach and just blitz Tyson Fury, because if you look at Tyson Fury, he's one of the best technical boxers we've ever seen, possibly arguably one of the greatest heavyweight boxers we've ever seen. He moves like a middleweight at the size that he is. You saw the weight. He comes at the same weight. I mean, he's one of the best fit man on the planet. The body doesn't show it, but the dude's cardio wreaks havoc on his opponent. So Tyson Fury is, this is his fight to lose. It really is. I just hope he's not making a mockery of it and not taking Francis Ngannou too seriously. I think both sides, what's worried me is that though I didn't see as much marketing coming directly from France, I think he's been aided in that. So that's where I guess my gripe has come from, is that it's not been organic. It's kind of been forced. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to expect that when you got the guy moving over, to boxing from a whole different, rule set. So it had to be done. So I guess I'm being a little hard on the guy that I really want to win. As much as I want Francis Ngannou to redeem the MMA community, I don't think he does. And as much as I think that he needs to maybe lay down and, take a loss, or that Tyson Fury is going to put it on him after the 3rd rounds, I think that's a possibility. I just think that, man, after seeing how boxing's been going, I gotta take the best odds I've seen on the books, and that's Fury via decision at plus 600. It very well may alter Francis Ngannou's life, but maybe he shows us something. Maybe he actually is in it for those rounds. Maybe he does have enough durability and he can stick behind his jab, and though he doesn't have to, outbox Tyson Fury, he could, kind of outpower him in a sense. And, Tyson Fury's handled Deontay Wilder's power. He's handled the powers of others, but he has been dropped before. So if there's a way that he gets dropped just like he has in prior fights, he can find his way up to his feet and winning on points in a judge's scorecard. So that's why I like the juicy odds. I like the way that this can head. Even though I'm fearful for Francis Ngannou, I hope and pray that he comes out victorious. But I think it'll be a net win if he does come out with a decision loss unscathed. I think that's also a win. So as much as Fury has the capabilities of getting him out of there, I don't think he's taking it all too serious. And I think Francis Ngannou is legit. I do think even though he may not be victorious, I think he does listen to me, and a lot of the things comes out blitzing, maybe drops Fury, but just, loses gas at the end, and Fury wins on the judges' scorecard. So I'll take the best odds I've seen on any books. Sorry to ramble on, but it's Fury via decision at plus 600. That's my official play.
Yeah, I mean, if he does go all 10 rounds, by the way, 10 rounds, not 12 for this
12, thank you.
If it does go all 10 rounds, yes, moral victory. I mean, I want him to be the one to win us for the
He redeem us all.
Yeah, I mean, my heart wants Francis Ngannou to win. And I don't think Tyson is taking him lightly. He said he trained really hard for this fight. He just had a baby boy about a few months ago, and he's only seen him twice. He's really been training. So I think he has a puncher's chance. I mean, everyone kind of does. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think his best outcome is to blitz him early. The longer it goes, the longer it does not look good for Francis Ngannou. Yeah. So my official play, I'm going to go over 4.5 rounds at minus 126. Wow. I just think that, I think the inactivity also for Francis Ngannou, it's going to hurt him a little bit. He hasn't fought in over a year as well.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to gas out, honestly, especially if he does blitz him. And something's telling me that, if Fury doesn't feel threatened, he's going to probably draw this one out into the later rounds. Probably have a sparring session with him and, take it later into the rounds. I just don't expect Tyson to knock him out early. So I think Francis is strong enough to go into the 5th, maybe the 6th round. So I'm going to go over 4.5 rounds here at minus 125. I know the odds are I'm seeing now, Joe, Tyson Fury's a minus 2,000 and Francis Ngannou is plus 10 to 1 right now, plus 1,000. So the numbers continuing to grow on on Tyson Fury, and for good reason. He's probably one of the best boxers in the world right now. So tough. I hope he shocks the world, to be honest. But
if he drops him, I'm gonna be like, yeah, he's hurt. I'm gonna be going nuts if Francis drops Tyson Fury.
If he does, I can't wait for Tyson Fury's dad's reaction. He's a nutcase.
I love John Fury. He is protect that man at all costs, man. I love John Fury. He is absolute. He is aware that he is a walking meme, and that's the thing is he knows he has free will. John Fury does. Love that man.
I love how he needs to fight Mike Tyson. I like that, and I love how Mike Tyson's in the corner of Francis. I think that's a nice petty move by
Mike. Yeah, that is a very petty move. That's also why I would go with Francis. Got Mike Tyson in his corner, but if they were to fight, man, I'm scared for John Fury. Jesus, man.
I know, but it's amazing.
Rip his head off.
You saw those videos of Mike still has it.
I think, he definitely still has it. But I think, he might have been away from training a little bit after the Roy Jones fight. But I think you think he's still getting in there. I think he's still getting. He looks in way better shape than he was prior to that fight. I think that fight kind of rejuvenated Mike. So,
you think he's smoking a lot of weed still?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he has Tyson Ranch. So,
shit,
everyone's getting into the game. Honestly,
everyone
has his own.
So profitable.
So good for them.
Yes, but I hope, I really hope he wins for all of us. But I think, hey, honestly, I was even looking at the fight to go the distance just because I feel like if Tyson doesn't sense any danger, he could drag this out even longer. And the fight to go to,
all he does is stay out of the power. Is that Francis not used to those angles, and he stays on the ropes, and he just wears them out that way too. And that's, I just don't, you said just straight up decision either way. And I just don't think that Francis has any chance to win on the judges' scorecards any way it goes. I mean, even if I don't think he's going to be dominant.
He's gonna outpoint. He's gonna get outpoint by Tyson.
He's going to get outpointed. That's exactly what's going to happen. I think it'll be a decision fight. I do, and I hate for that to be the case. I hope Francis Ngannou comes out unscathed. That's my main thing. Is that he doesn't get butchered for 10 rounds. Yeah.
I hope he goes into PFL after this. I hope he makes 10, 15 fucking $million come tomorrow night. It's probably be the biggest payday of his career. So I'm happy for that. I'm happy he got the fight, and everyone's saying he fumbled the bag. I love that he put it on. I love that he put it.
Yeah, his boxing bag.
He hears everything.
He's also very aware. Yeah, he's smart.
100%.
Francis Ngannou's smart, man. It doesn't matter where you come from, man. It doesn't matter anything.
He's already won in life.
He's won in life, man. He Francis Ngannou, all the credit in the world. You deserve this, man. Make us proud. Make us proud.
Any other fights you like on this card or no?
Not on this card, I'll be honest with you, man. I got some other boxing that's going on this weekend. It's all the championship fights that I could cover. Because like I think
it's taking place in Orlando, right?
Depends, because there's all over. There's actually one fight taking place in Nicaragua. There's all over the world. Like you said, we got Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is where Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury will be meeting up, and that's for the battle of the baddest. So there are 2 fights tonight. We have Gerardo Zapata taking on Jonathan Gonzalez. Zapata, he believes it's his destiny to win, but he's 1-1-1 in his last 3, coming off a split draw. And as I mentioned, I know he's fighting in his own backyard. And I know you'd want me to take the younger hometown dog, but I'm going with the Bronx native and Jonathan Gonzalez via KO TKO at plus 200 because he's the favorite at minus 600 as opposed to Zapata at plus 600. So the event tonight that you mentioned, Amanda Serrano, I got some information about that fight. As she takes on Daniela Ramos, this will be the first women's boxing match to be competed under the same rules as their male counterparts. WBC, though, has refused to sanction this bout under the 12 3-minute rounds. I got some news for you. Boxing's dead. If they're denying the women to be equal as their male counterparts, I mean, what are y'all doing? That's all they asked for. The men and women compete the same in mixed martial arts, in Muay Thai, in kickbox. They compete under the same rule set. So for the boxing to say that they're not, professional enough or good enough is just a slap in the face. I think this rule set, though, does favor Amanda Serrano. And Danielle Ramos is tough, but I think getting 3-minute rounds and getting 12 of them, I think Amanda Serrano can get her out of there. I'm going to take Serrano via KO TKO at plus 110. That's my odds for tonight. But before,
real quick, Joe, real quick, why don't you think they sanctioned it? Did they come out with an explanation?
They simply refused to sanction it because of this fight not following their rules, which would be, I think it's 10 2-minute rounds for the women. For them going to 12 3-minute rounds, the WBC got their panties in a bunch and they don't want to sanction the fight. So it's just, I think it's an embarrassment. I think it's an embarrassment. How do you think these women feel? They should be competing for a belt. And how do you think Daniela Ramos feels? She has a chance to win a title here, and now you take away her opportunity altogether. So I think it may have deflated her as well because, she is a huge dog. She's plus 750, and Amanda Serrano is rightfully so a minus 1,000 favorite. That's why I had to get those juicy odds for you, getting her via KO TKO at plus 110. That's Amanda Serrano. And then we discussed the main event. We didn't bury the lead. That's why we gave it to you first. But Shacky Foster is going to take on Eduardo Hernandez. And, Shacky Foster, he's a minus 250 favorite, man. He hasn't fought in over 8 months, and he went to a decision, whereas Hernandez, brother, he's fought 3 months ago and won via knockout. So I got the dog here. I think he could, win on the judges' scorecards if he outboxes Shacky Foster, but he can also knock him out. I'll just take the dog, Eduardo Hernandez, as my final boxing play for the weekend at plus 170. Dogs are barking.
Dogs are barking early, kid, and hopefully the biggest dog barks here. Francis Ngannou. Joe, good luck. Should be a very eventful boxing. Took over the weekend. I like it.
Yes, it did.
I think they kind of capitalized on the opportunity. And I don't know if Dana White did this on purpose, but it was all the memes. They're like, oh, it's Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury week. What's Dana White going to announce to try to take the spotlight away? I think this one kind of just fell in his lap, but unfortunately, John Jones is out of UFC 295, against Stipe Miocic. John Jones tore his pec. He's going to require surgery. He said he's going to be out around 8 months to a year. Hence the interim title fight between Tommy Aspinall, our boy Tommy, against one of the Russian polar bears, and Sergey Spivak. What a fucking fight that's going to be. Wow. Quote from John Jones. He goes, I guess it will be Stipe and I at a later date. That is my plan. That is the UFC's plan. Hopefully these other heavyweights, Aspinall and Spivak, put on a great show for you guys. I may even show up to the event and watch. I know you guys paid a lot of money as well to come see us, but I just want to let you know I love you all. And hey, your boy Johnny Jones is doing A-okay. Quick question before we get into Tom Aspinall and Sergey Spivak. Are you mad that Pavlovich, sorry. Are you mad that they didn't offer or keep Stipe on the card?
No, I can understand the argument there, but no, you gotta leave these. It's hard, man. I just think that also you want to, have high hopes for the fight going that it got pushed back between John and Stipe. You gotta keep the belt, the number one pound for pound for him. It's a legacy fight too. I know it may not agree in terms of activeness and all that. Stipe beats John Jones, and he's the greatest of all time. I think not only heavyweight, but all time. He beat John Jones. Yeah. So, but if obviously John Jones wins, he's undoubtedly. So there's no argument. But yeah, man, I think they did the right thing. Man, John sounded so bummed. Stipe, I'm hearing him this morning. He sounded so bummed, man. I feel bad.
I love it. He goes, no, I'm kidding.
What did you say?
No, I'm kidding. He said it felt like getting kicked in the balls.
Yeah, it really did. They both sounded so bummed out. I think they were ready. I really do. And it was just that video was hard to watch, seeing John get hurt like that. It really was, man. Our fighters are getting old, man. It's a realization that we have to come to be. And I think we have to embrace the new generation, the up and coming fighters. That's how
a lot of people are mad that they didn't strip John. And I don't think that was a wise idea to strip if they were to strip John.
Well, do we get strip Volkanovski for stepping up? I know it's a different thing and not stepping up and getting injured, but do we strip Volkanovski if they do run an interim belt? No.
That's the thing.
Is the champ, and then have an interim.
My worry is it'd be really sad and unfortunate if we never see Stipe again, which I think is a possibility. Really? And hear me out. Is it actually that exciting to go see John and Stipe if they do rebook it in a year? Because now it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years since we've seen Stipe, almost a year and a half till we've seen John. It's going to be a while. And then what happens if Tom Aspinall wins? You're going to put John Jones versus Tom Aspinall for the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship, right? So where does that leave Stipe? Stipe only wants to fight with John Jones.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's difficult. I think Stipe's going to stick around, man. He wants a John fight too. He does. He's the type of guy.
He wants one more payday.
Yeah, but he's the type of guy that also wants to fight for legacy too, to be remembered as the greatest of all time. I think that's itching both of them. That's why they're so bummed out. Yeah. But I think, looking at it like this too, the interim belt also helps these two guys in their names. I don't necessarily think Tommy Aspinall actually needs the belt. I do think he's a bigger star. But if Pavlovich wins and he didn't get a belt, we're going to be like, who is Sergey Pavlovich? Half the population doesn't know who he is. And that's unfortunate because he's a destroyer. Dude's built like a tank. Yeah. But that's the thing. He needs the interim belt if he winds up beating Tom Aspinall, because how else do you legitimize a guy like that where nobody knows, doesn't speak English, doesn't have a nickname? It has all the makings of a bust pay-per-view if you throw him in there without a belt. So I think the UFC is trying to work around, and I think they're doing a great job. Credit to the matchmakers, credit to the War Room, credit to Dana White. They're getting it done for us. It's not easy this is the fight game. Unexpected things occur. People get cut. Charles Oliveira. People get torn shoulders. John Jones. You never know what happens. So you have to be on your toes in this sport. You really do.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. I feel for the fans too, who spent all that money and now they possibly not going to see two of the greatest ever.
And a price drop. Woo! If you spent top dollar on your cards,
you could get it a lot cheaper.
UFC took that money. UFC took that money.
Now, quick odds for Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall. Who do you think?
Pavlovich is a favorite. Slight favorite.
No, Tom Aspinall is the favorite,
Oh,
minus
it's flopped. It flopped.
125.
It flopped. It was plus 105 for Tom Aspinall, minus 130 for Sergey
And
Pavlovich.
to be honest, I don't agree. One, because
You agree
Sergey
now. You
Pavlovich.
agree with Tom being the favorite now.
No, I don't, and I'll tell
You
you
agreed with it
why.
originally. I did as well. I
Yes,
thought Pavlovich
yes.
should have been the favorite. As well.
And the only reason why is because Sergey Pavlovich was already in fight camp. He was the backup fighter for this main event. So he's already in fight mode.
I love that it swung then.
While 2 weeks he has to prepare. Not even. Maybe 2 weeks. Yeah, he has 2 weeks to prepare. But yeah, and Tom Aspinall went on Ariel Helwani's show and he said, yeah, I've been training once a day, but it's not obviously to the volume and intensity that I need to, like, heading up for a title fight. He goes, then I would have been in the gym every fucking hour of the day. But that's my one worry, because I do like Tommy. I think he pulls a Michael Bisping and takes like Luke Rockhold on 2 weeks notice. And I think he does it for England. I'm rooting for Tommy Aspinall. I think he goes out there and starches Pavlicek.
Wow. I love it. I really do. That's a bold take. Be honest, I think somewhat of the reach is significant. There's about a 6-inch reach advantage for Pavlovich. I think Tommy Aspinall is a better, well-rounded fighter. We haven't really seen too much of the ground game from Sergey. So if Tommy finds a way, now it might be difficult because he might have really good takedown defense, how stocky Pavlovich is, but if he can find a way to get this to the ground, I think Tom Aspinall has the advantage, undoubtedly. And I'll be rooting for him as well. I do like Tommy Boy. I think he would be a good heavyweight champ. I mean, he looks the part. English as a first language, as much as that is not fair to those who don't have English as a first language, it does matter when you're making promos and all. And I think it also helps build, English MMA up even more. So
100%.
you had Great Britain representative Michael Bisping. You have Paddy Pimblett on the rise. You're gonna have
chill, Joe. You lost me. Next, you're gonna say Molly McCann.
No, but at the end of the day, I think it goes into also you got Scotland. You got Paul Craig. That whole area, even Ireland. Ian Gary, and I hate to go off topic, but that's why I said UFC 299 headline with Conor, because I think you throw Ian Gary if he gets through this next test. You throw him as a co-main event slot with Conor McGregor, man. I think you start building these stars up. So,
and I know I mentioned like the 2 weeks layoff or notice that it's not particularly not promising, but ideal for Tommy. But it's not even about that. It's about the 15 fucking years, 20 years that you've been working and putting in the gym.
Yeah, man.
Behind the scenes. So he's ready. I can't wait for the opportunity. I'll be rooting for Tommy Aspinall here in a few weeks, November 12th at Madison Square Garden. And what better place to win your belt?
Yeah, man.
So that obviously means Yuri Prohaska and Alex Pereira, that's promoted to the main event. And then the co-main event now will be Sergey Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight title, UFC 295.
Still a great card.
Yeah, still a great card. Our boy Dylan Dennis, he's officially a free agent. Bellator hasn't released him. I think it would be stupid for the UFC not to sign him, to be honest.
He could sell the hell out of a fight. Yeah, that's the issue, is that he could sell the hell out of a fight. And if the UFC doesn't go and sign him, I know he may have a bad relationship with Dana, but if Conor maybe, tries to put him, in his graces, that's call. It. He's in. That's all he needs to do. Exactly. And I think he can get in that way. He could sell the hell out of a fight. Obviously, he needs to work his stand-up. He's going to be better at jiu-jitsu than everybody else. But the issue, if Dana doesn't go and sign him, is that another promotion will. I really think that someone may take the chance to take Dylan Dennis, pay him all the big bucks, and have him promote the fight. He'll promote the hell out of a fight, make it controversial, have all the eyes tuned on it, because good or bad press is press at the end of the day.
100%. And this guy, I know we don't like to dig too much into social media, but he has over 1 million followers. Even champions don't have 1 million followers.
Yeah.
He's going to sell fights. And we talk about, yes, his stand-up, obviously. He's going to need to improve his striking, but he's a world-round jiu-jitsu practitioner. Don't get me wrong. We just talked about in UFC 294 how Muhammad Makhachev has gone all the way this far with mediocre striking and great jiu-jitsu. Dylan Dennis could do the same thing. I'm not saying he's as good as Muhammad Makhachev, but he could go on that win streak and win 2-3 rounds just based off his grappling. So I agree. I think someone will snatch him up. It'd be interesting to see who does sign him. Mentioning
Yes,
Jared Cannonier earlier in the day, he is out with his fight against Roman Dolidze at UFC Austin, December 2nd. Cannonier was supposed to fight Chimaev 294, but could not step up. He tore his MCL after getting the call. So I guess my question to you is, Roman Dolidze sitting there, needs a fight. Who do you look at in that middleweight division for him?
You got me. Give me a second here. I'm gonna have to look that
No,
up.
I'll read you off. I'm reading it right now. You got
Yeah.
Paulo Costa at 6, Marvin Vittori at 5. Maybe Robert Whittaker. You're definitely not going to fight down at this point. You're not going to fight like a Jack Hermanson. You know, Chimaev probably gets a title fight after that. Brandon Allen is a dangerous fighter. I would not.
Yeah, but he's got a fight coming up.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I forgot who he's fighting.
But yeah, for Roman Dolidze, who do you like for him? Marvin Vittori? Oh, they just fought.
Yeah. No.
Paulo
Man,
Costa's
I mean,
there.
I just don't think they're going to do that to Bobby Knuckles. He's not going to fight down as well. Roman, you're right. He might not need to deserve to fight down. But the thing is maybe that other fighters may deserve to fight up. And unfortunately, Roman lost an opponent. And I think the UFC may say, hey, you got to take a fight, because if you don't, we're going to put you on the back burner. So,
yeah.
Fluffy Hernandez is ranked 15. He's a problem, man.
He is, but I know.
No,
sometimes you just have no choice.
Chris Curtis has a fight. Paul Craig's got to fight. Imavov's got to fight. Gaslam's got to fight. Brendan Allen's got to fight. Chimaev's looking for the title. Jack Hermanson, I was just thinking of him, actually. They fought already. Marvin Vittori. Paulo Costa still needs to recover. He won't be ready in time. Jared Cannonier is out. I said the only other viable option would probably be Bobby Knuckles, but I just don't. I think the Bobby Knuckles won't take that fight, and I don't think the UFC might even offer it. So, Fluffy Hernandez or unranked opponent for Roman Dolidze unless he wants to wait. That's my opinion.
Wow. Yeah, no, it'd be very interesting. Robert Whittaker, after 294, came out and said, hey, Kamaru Usman, you might as well stay around the middleweight division. So he's eyeing a big fight with the ex-champ. So I agree. I don't think at his stage he doesn't need to fight down. Yeah. And then lastly, before we get to your 10 seconds left, our boy Jersey's own Phil Hawes. He's going to take on Bruno Ferreira, UFC Vegas 83, January 13th. You like that for our boy?
Yeah,
Phil
man.
Hawes?
Let's go Phil Hawes, honestly. Megatron, I hope he gets the job done. I'll be rooting for him. You know, Bruno Ferreira is a problem, but, you know, he was kind of exposed in his last outing. Let's see if he's legitimately a fraud and he gets fraud checked by Phil Hawes. Let's see if that gets done.
I love it. We're rooting for our boy Phil Hawes. Dyed his hair. Love that look too, by the way.
Heck yeah, and he was supporting Dylan Dennis, man. He was in his corner. You got to respect Phil Hawes for being there. And he's a one-hitter quitter, bro. He's got that power.
I love that power. So hopefully he takes care of Ferreira. But Joe, Cage Warriors, 10 seconds left. What do you got for us this week?
Thank you for mentioning Cage Warriors. We're at 162, but tonight is Invicta FC 54, LFA 170 as well. So a lot going on. My last week's record was 2-2 for BKFC, and my boy Jeremiah the Prophet Scott won his bare knuckle debut. Happy birthday, Jay-Z. Here are my plays for Cage Warriors 162. I got Michael Angelo Poli taking on Nicolas LeBlanc, and they're taking place in Rome, so you got a lot of Italians as the hometown guys, but I got the dog here and Nicolas LeBlanc. They fought before, and I think he gets it back. I'm going to take LeBlanc here via submission, but I take him on the money line at plus 130. I just have a predicting that he can submit him. So the next fight is Simone Diana taking on Albert Diaz. And another dog, even though he's the hometown guy, I got to take Simone Diana at plus 185. I think he could finish Albert Diaz via KO TKO. And then in the main event, Simone Patrizzi is taking on Dimitri Gerlin, another fight that is coming back. They fought once before. Dimitri Gerlin, he beat him the first time around. I think Simone Patrizzi as well exacts his revenge. Give me the underdog, Patrizzi, plus 150, and possibly via decision. And those are my 10 seconds left.
I love it, Joe. Joe, those are tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow for Cage Warriors. The only things I mentioned were the Invicta and LFA taking place tonight. Tomorrow is Cage Warriors and all the boxing.
Joe, good luck. Hopefully we have a good, profitable week. Let's go, Francis. Shock the world, man. We're all rooting for you here in the MMA community. But that's going to do it for this Friday edition of Axe Kick Picks. On behalf of our sponsor, Viva Tequila, Joey, myself. We'll see you guys next week. UFC is back in Brazil. Can't wait for that. We'll see you guys next week. Plenty of picks, plenty of hot takes. You guys can find all of us on social media, on X and Instagram at XKickPicks. You guys can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. We go live every Friday afternoon on YouTube, youtube.com/@KickPick Live. Be a friend, tell a friend. Everyone, good luck on your wagers this weekend. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you guys down the road. Peace.